Hi everyone. I've got a little project on finishing up one of the Hearts 3 Ways, which will be our video for this month. I'm hoping to post that within the next couple of weeks, but if you'll give me some grace, I'd appreciate that. I am experiencing some temporary difficulties, and I need to figure out a different way of doing the filming than what I had originally planned. But we are going to do Hearts 3 Ways, and one of those 3 ways is to create a kind heart badge, and that's by needle felting with a heart-shaped cookie cutter and creating a heart, and then coming together and putting it together with a couple of other things to finish it out and to give you a kind heart badge that you can either wear for yourself, wear on your sleeve to let everyone know that kindness is your mantra, or to give away as a badge of courage and a badge of honor to someone that you know. So without further ado, let me flip the camera and we'll get started. Okay, I think that we are all set. I'm just looking to see if we've got the new post coming up. In any event, we are live. So this is the badge that we'll be finishing up today, and I'm looking to make sure that you can see all of it. The heart was needle felted using a cookie cutter. You can see that it reduced a significant amount in size as I was felting with it. But once we've got that heart, then we're going to attach it to a couple of things to create this wonderful little kind heart badge. We're using a kilt pin. These are available to order on Amazon and other places online. I'm checking my camera. Yeah, you can still see my hands. Let's see if we can. There we go. It gives us a wider shot. But these are available in a couple of different finishes, and I got them in a couple of different finishes. Kilt pin, this I believe is a 3.5 inch. It might be a 4 inch, but let's see. Yeah, 3.5 inch pin or 3 inch pin. There we go. It's a 3 inch pin. So a 3 inch kilt pin. You're going to need, I've used some waxed canvas, and I bought a couple of sample packs of waxed canvas in a lot of different colors, so that I had them for a number of different projects. And this interesting little detail here is just because I crumpled up each piece of waxed canvas and then I opened it back up again, and it saved and it memorized sort of all of those folds, even though I had smoothed it out, and it gives it a little bit extra texture. What I also like to do is take and ravel away, a couple of threads on each end. I just like that fringy kind of look, but that is totally and completely up to you and what you want to do. So, grab a color of wax canvas. You could use any other kind of fabric as well to do this, but the wax canvas I like because, one, it can give me that beautiful texture even in a flat piece. Also available in a number of different colors and pretty inexpensive when you buy it in assortments in sample sizes. You're also going to need some felted wool. That's what the wax canvas is stitched to here. Gives us a solid background for the badge. These are just pieces of garments that I picked up at thrift stores that were either already felted down, they'd already been shrunk down, or I felted them myself when I got home. I'm wanting at least, about 1/8 of an inch thick. You want to have a little bit of substance to this so that it'll hold it sturdy and steady. So you're going to need to have a piece of felted wool. All you're going to do is sort of eyeball your piece of waxed canvas, and you're going to cut the felted wool so that you have an edge around the outside of it, okay? We'll also need some embroidery floss. We'll need some yarn, and we'll need some sparkly embroidery floss. I hate working with metallics, but for the word kind, this just gives it a pop, and I really like to work with it. So you'll need these 3 items as well. And I'm moving everything out of the way, and I'm going to bring over our workstation. Make sure that we can still see here. There we go. All right, so this is the heart that I put together and got ready to go for us to use. And just checking the feed here and seeing if we've got this yet. And no, I can't find the feed to come up. Let's see if we can get it up this way. Let it renew itself. I just want to make sure that I can see what you guys are seeing so that if I need to adjust anything, I can. The first thing we're going to do, I've already taken and I've sort of fringed out the waxed canvas, and I'm just going to eyeball onto the center. I've got a needle already threaded with 3 strands of embroidery floss. If you don't know how to separate out embroidery floss, each thread of embroidery floss is really 6 tinier threads. And so I like to split it for something like this into 2 bundles of 3. And you just take it, split it apart on one end, and then just sort of hold it and unravel it until you get the length that you need. Then I like to, for this project, fold it in half, knot it at the bottom. That way I don't have to worry about any loose ends. Again, here's another artistic view. You can use any kind of stitch you want for this. I liked using an overlap stitch that came in, probably 4 or 5 threads in. And that I just did a simple little whip stitch around the outside until we went all the way around, just to give it that little bit of security that was holding on there. I'm going to move that out of the way. And it's just an over and under until we've got that stitched on. And again, you know, there's no measurement here. This is all eyeballing. This is how it looks to you and what you're wanting to do with it. But we would stitch all the way around here. And doesn't matter if we're perfect. The whole idea behind this is that we're proud of being kind. We're not perfection by any way, shape, or form. Not that we could be, but perfection is something that I honestly don't believe we should be striving for. We should be striving to be the best that we can be, to be the best us that we can be, and there's no perfect involved in that. It's just getting up and taking the next step every single day. So we're just doing this simple little stitch, and when I get to the corner, I don't go all the way to the corner. Doing this stitch like this allows us to secure the waxed canvas to the felted wool, but it also allows us to catch the last few strands of the waxed linen strands so that it won't unravel, okay? Not that it's gonna be likely to unravel because, you know, this is a badge. We're just gonna pin it to our jacket or our blouse, or we're going to put it on a favorite purse or favorite bag, but this will keep it from unraveling. And because we're coming at it from both directions, we're going to make sure that we've got it nicely secured. And this is just the background for our heart. Now you notice that I pulled out red and purple, and the colors do not exactly match. They don't have to. This is all about finding what appeals to you and pulling some colors in or some non-colors in. You know, you could do this all in black and white for the background and then just have the color be your pop of your heart. Totally be cool with that. It's whatever appeals to you. But this is a fun little project. You could do this as a Valentine gift to a friend or a family member who is particularly kind-hearted. You could wear it yourself as a badge of being a kind-hearted badass. You could, any number of things. You could use it as a bookmark, I guess. Instead of a pin, then you wouldn't need the kilt pin to hold it on. But this is just a fun little way to use that needle felted heart that we created with the cookie cutter. I like giving you projects and ways, different ways that you can utilize them. because it's not for me about making a particular project. It's about teaching you how to do felting and giving you the opportunity to find how you want to express yourself through felting in different projects. Felting can be used for so many different things. And this is just a sample of one thing that you could do with your felting, especially if you go crazy with the cookie cutters. You can make all kinds of different shapes. I've got hearts right now because, well, you know, Valentine's Day is around the corner now. I'll actually be traveling back from Scotland and arriving back home on Valentine's Day this year. There we go. Had a little knot catching up. But that gives you a lovely little, you know, idea of how this is going to work. Now, you notice that in the sample I did, we did this portrait style. We could certainly do this landscape style, and I think that's what we're going to do for tonight, is we'll do this landscape style, just to give you a different look, so that you can see that there's really no right or wrong way. It's just the way you decide to create this. And so when I get down to this last stitch here, I'm going to go ahead and come around the back, and I'm just going to take and knot my thread just by doing a simple loop and then an easy knot, and I'm going to trim that off. And so we've got that ready to go. The next step is to take our heart and to attach it. Now, you notice when I did the portrait style, we had the heart just hanging off a tiny bit down here at the bottom. Well, we have a little bit more room to play with, so we can let this drop down quite an awful lot. So I'm going to turn this over. It's pretty much centered. Does not have to be straight in any way, shape, or form. This is all about what appeals to you. And I'm going to get another bit of floss in here so that we can stitch the heart to our felted wool and our waxed linen, our waxed canvas, sorry. And this is just, I mean, there's no right or wrong way here, however you want to stitch it, just so long as it's secure. I wish I could make those knots with the thread with my fingers, but my fingers have never been able to do that, even when they didn't have arthritis. My mother can do it, and it drives me crazy that I can't do that. So I just have to fold my knot over like this. So we know we want to catch the upper parts of the curves here, just so that they don't, you know, tilt off like that. But it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just going to go in pretty deep into the heart and then come back out and just pull that thread. But I'm going to stick my needle in between there so that I've sort of built in an automatic knot there. And I'm going to put in another stitch here so that we get this side nice and tight. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to work this side just to get a nice solid attachment of the heart to the felted wool and canvas. And we've got a nice solid bit there. I think I'm going to take and just do another couple of stitches just to make sure we've got it well secured before I knot that up. One here in the center, and then back over to the other side again. And then just like I did when I was finishing up the stitches, I'm just going to take a shallow stitch there, go through, and then run my needle through the loop twice and pull it tight, and we've got it knotted. And so now we have our base. And we've got our heart right here. We've got plenty of room to write our kind. Now I've already loaded up my embroidery needle with some of the metallic floss and trim off the edges so we don't have too many tails back there. Now, there are a lot of folks that are really good at embroidery. I don't happen to be one of them. I like a couple of stitches and I pretty much stick to a couple of stitches. This is all free-handed, and except for the K, it is all back stitch. That's my favorite stitch to go for. I can make straight lines, I can make curved lines, and it's easy for me to get into the rhythm with the back stitch. You use any stitch that you want to, but for me, back stitch is the way to go. And so what I want to do is come up here just a little bit shy of where the top of the K is going to be. And then I'm going to go up and pull the floss through. Yeah, it gets dicey sometimes. Like I said, I'm not an embroiderer. Stitching is always about what do I need to do, and how to do it has been, let's see how I can figure out how to do it. So there's our first stitch. I'm just trying to get all of those down. And then to do the back stitch, the reason it's called back stitch is because then you're going to come down here and you're going to pull the thread through. You've gone back. And then I come down where I first started to stitch. And I'm going to keep doing that until I've made that full leg of my K. And back stitches has been easier for me to keep a little more even than other stitches have been. Not that my stitches are perfectly even by any way, shape, or form, but back stitch makes it easier for me to have more even stitches. I can gauge the length a little bit easier than I can with other stitches, I think. Your results may vary. Okay, so there's the leg of our K, and now we're going to build out to do our 2 angled pieces. And again, this is completely and totally up to you and how you want to stitch these letters in. Do you have to stitch the word kind? No, but it's a kind-hearted badge. And so kind, I thought, was an appropriate thing to stitch on here. Now I did the first little one, and now I'm going to do another one out here a bit. Again, back stitch. And the metallic floss is a monster when it comes to gathering up. And I'm really not worrying about pulling up some of this red felted wool. For me, it's just another little bit of character. Anytime I can put character in without having to work hard at it, I'm going to go for it. Now, doubling your thread, like I've done here, does make it a little dicier when it comes to getting knots in your work. And now we're going to work the lower part of the leg. And on this one that we're doing, sorry, I'm getting it out of camera view here. I apologize. I'm going to move this one up here. On the sample piece that I did, you notice that the K had a long swoopy. You can do the long swoopy or not, totally and completely up to you. Again, stitch it however you're comfortable stitching it, or in my case, however you can manage to get it stitched, because stitching is not your forte. And I think one more here. Now, do you have to use the metallic floss? No, absolutely not. And if I didn't want that big, pop of that sparkle, I probably wouldn't use it. Can you use the floss to embellish your heart? Absolutely. You do whatever you want to do. Now we've got our eye, and once again, back stitching, so I'm going up first, and then I'm going down. And then I'm going up. And then down. And would you believe that, shoot, would you believe that I screwed up and I've got a little knot in here? That wasn't what I was about to say. What I was going to say is, would you believe that the French knot in the sample is the first French knot I've ever done successfully? Now, I could go through here, and I probably will, just to bring my thread up here closer to the top. We're going to attempt another French knot. I am French knot challenged. So I know you come up, and then for me, it was easier to wrap it around like this. Come right next to it and go down and keep holding the thread so that the knot would knot right at the end. And I just made my second French knot ever. Yay! Now we're ready for our end. You can use capital letters, you can use lowercase letters. Again, this is your stitching, you do it your way. You can use a mixture of both capital and lowercase. It's whatever effect you want to give this piece. I'm going to start doing our curve up here at the top. And it looks like we're going to get all but the D done with this one bit of floss. Ouch. Put a little bit of a tail here. Okay, so K-I-N, and now we just need our D. And I'm gonna try, see how far we can get with this. Again, we're getting the back stitch, so we come up and then we go over or under, and then we're back this way. Until we've gone all the way around to make our D. And those of you who've known me for a while, you know I'm not about perfection at all. I'm about finding out what works for you and what appeals to you, what your vision is, and helping you find a way to make your vision happen. Well, we might get this done. I don't know. It's gonna be close. And I got myself reversed here, so I'm going to fix that. Coming up in the middle and then going down. Then I'll be ready to go back stitching again. We are going to be right down to the wire here. But I think we can make it work. We might not have enough to do a traditional knot. I think we'll have enough that we can weave in the ends in the back. Kind heart. There we go. And so now just going to take and weave the ends over and under a few times, just so that we've got those tails trapped. And we're done with that. Okay, so we have our kind heart. Now it's time to add our loops at the top. Want to make sure that we leave the open end so that we can pin that to our garment or our bag. So it's easy once you take a look, real good look at the shape. It's flat on the end that is connected, and it's got a little bit of a divot here on the end that's going to catch your pin, okay? So this is how we want to stitch this on. I'm going to grab our larger needle that we had earlier, and I'm going to take a little bit of the yarn that I had pulled aside. We don't need a lot for this, just need a little bit. And just do a quick trim. And I'm going to go ahead and double this as well. And knot the end. Again, times I wish that my fingers could make those knots, but they just can't. I have never been able to do that whole wrap around your finger and then just roll it to make it happen. It's just not something that's in my skill set, unfortunately. All right, finding the center. Now before I start looping around, and that's really all it is, it's just a simple loop around, I'm going to anchor the yarn here in the back, just running my needle, not through the strand. There we go. Running my needle in between both strands just to get it nice and secure. And then I'm going to come up and figure out, okay, where's my center? I think my center's about right there. Okay, so I'm going to start about right here, and I'm going to carry over to about right here. So from about here to here. And so we're here. I am just going to come down about halfway, bring that up, loop it around my pin, and then come in and pull it taut. Doesn't have to be super tight, but I like having it pretty close. And then I'm just going to bring the needle around the pin again, about the same amount of space. Bring it over, let that loop on there. And we'll just keep going until we get to where we had determined was about the end of where we wanted to go. And you know, this can be coordinating yarn. It can be yarn that really stands out. I like using, you know, colors that are pretty coordinated with what the heart was felted to be, just to, you know, sort of stay in the same range of colors there. The pink isn't exactly, you know, the same. The purple isn't exactly the same, but that's okay. It gives a little bit of a pop. And I like the handmade sort of aspect of this and having the stitches show, because this gives us a very, you know, sort of I don't know, vintage homespun, heritage, you call it whatever you want. Then when we get to the end, I'm just going to bury the ends down here underneath some of the stitches that we've already taken, just to bring them down further. And then I'm going to take and make a loop again, run my needle through the loop, pull it taut, and we've got it knotted off. Now all that's left for us to do is to decide how we want to finish the back of this. You could cover the back with another piece of the waxed canvas, and you could stitch that on very shallowly so that it wouldn't show through on the front. You could take another piece of felted wool and you could match the size of it and then whip stitch the edges to it. Or you could take another piece of felted wool or another piece of fabric, and you could use a Wonder Under to fuse that by just using a hot iron and following the instructions on the Wonder Under and fusing that on, and then you've got your finished Kind Heart badge and you're ready to go. And that's all I have for you tonight. 2 Kind-Hearted badges to help you see how you might use some of the felted hearts that you've been needle felting. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.